Hi, Sharon. Good morning to you. How are you?
I am wonderful. It's so good to be here laughing with you. Start my day out and to end yours on a good note, right?
Yes. Thank you so much for saying yes to be interviewed today. This is for our listeners. This is our second time to be recording this fully as the interview. And I felt like there's this affinity with you since the first time we spoke. So I cannot wait to get into our conversation today. So, for the purpose of our listeners, I'd like to introduce myself formally. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. So before we start, I'd like to read a bit of your introduction and then we can get right into the conversation. So, hello everyone. We have Sharon Sivert here with us. For the past decade, Sharon and her international colleagues have guided leaders and business owners to grow their companies without burning themselves out or the people who work with them. They show leaders how to increase their confidence, gain new clarity, master their thoughts and emotions, develop business strategies that are effective, and get buy in. And then implement those strategies, navigating past hidden obstacles until they're able to deliver a new level of measurable results. Sharon's prior professional experience includes serving as CEO of a group health plan, VP of a think tank, and director of a regional health facility. Today, she not only works with businesses and private clients from diverse industries to ensure the success, but also trains and certifies coaches, consultants, and teachers to use her highly effective methodologies and pragmatic tools for their own practices. Now, her books are enriched by valuable insights from real life experiences of hundreds of clients, and some of them include the following: Superpower of Balanced Leadership in Unbalanced Times, 6 Steps to Leading Your Life and Work from the Inside Out, and Prospering, 6 Steps for Spiraling Up to Great Wealth. Welcome, Sharon. So much to unpack.
Thank you so much for having me. Very good.
Okay, before we get right into business, I'd like to take my listeners and my guests a trip down memory lane. Can you share with us what was it like growing up as a Sharon Sivert? That's
Yvette,
the
yeah.
French pronunciation.
Yeah. Well, my dad's side of the family was that from Alsace-Lorraine, which is that German-French border that was disputed. It's my joking about my last name. My mother's side of the family is from Ireland, and I was born here in Boston. And then we went out and I lived in the Midwest for a very long time. And that's why I don't sound like I'm from Boston. I do sound like I'm from somewhere. That's it. And I grew up
Really?
in
Accent?
I grew up in a tiny rural town, and I think that that has made me very practical in the work that I do. For me, it's always like, what's the crop going to look like? What are the results that we're going to get from these efforts? If someone is putting in time to change their life, we need them to get results. If people are paying us, we need them to get results. So that's that Midwestern down to earth, get the crops in part of me. And the Irish side is a bit more whimsical and a bit more playful.
I like that.
I do try that. I really do try that. And growing up in the Midwest, it actually shaped me in another way, which is that I lived in a town that had a very active Klan, Ku Klux Klan. And for those people in the United States know what that is. For people around the world, it's pretty much just a fascist regime with sheets. They wear these sheets, and they grew up after after the slaves were freed in the United States, and they have continued. This has been a very strong issue for us in the United States, is that we do have these political forces, and we've certainly seen that in politics recently. But I grew up, and I was one of the few papists in town, and they didn't have black people, and they didn't have brown people, and they didn't have people from Asia, and they didn't have, pretty much we were it to be able to discriminate against, until the Bergens came to town, and they were our first Jewish family. And so the Catholics, the papists, drew the wagons around them. So I grew up also celebrating the Jewish holidays because of my dear friends, and we were kind of their protectors. So I have a rather colorful background, even though I grew up in this very tiny, small town. And then as an adult, I've moved east and stayed here. It's a good place for me.
You sound very seasoned. I love that. There's so much for me to learn from you. So now let's get into the real deal. The nitty-gritty of things.
Following your lead, kid, you take me where you want to go.
So okay, for the benefit of our listeners, we were talking about how are we gonna mold or shape the interview today, right? And we were discussing like what best way, which way to bring this into life. So, and coincidentally that I am also joining or entering the space of psychology, and that's why we're bringing these questions as something for me to learn as well and for our listeners. So tell us, Sharon, what is, you mentioned to me what it is, a pragmatism therapy, and I didn't know. I was that days years old that I've heard that word and that the philosophy behind it
Okay,
and how
pragmatism you're talking about. Yes.
pragmatism.
Pragmatism does not mean being practical. Pragmatism is a philosophy that grew up in America around the middle 1800s, Harvard philosophy department, but pre-psychology actually. And all pragmatism is very simple and very elegant, which is what's working, what's not working, and why. So that you take the approach of telling yourself the truth, that what I'm doing is bearing fruit. What I'm doing is working for me. What I'm doing, why is my head so bloody? I keep pounding it against the wall. I think I need to stop doing that. So it's your feedback to yourself about what is working and what is not. So when I work with people or when I work with companies, we go right into that. This is working, this is not. And then we try to figure out why for both. If something's working well, you'll also need to know why so that you can repeat it. So it's a very hands-on, day-to-day practical philosophy that almost became America's psychology. But then the adherents of Freud and Jung came over from Europe, and that was kind of stopped in its track. But it then went into business practices, and businesses then started doing what they called business improvement or continuous improvement, quality management. And that was based on that cycle of plan, do, check, act, which if you look at my little compass here, which is our model. It's all there, right in that compass thing. What you can see is that if you look at the outer rim of the circle, you'll see the plan, which is thinking. I think and I plan ahead. I act. I put something out there in the world. And then the next step is I get feedback about it and I adjust. And then the green, the last point, is that you then implement it and continually improve your life with things that work. We can continually improve your team with this work. Now we can move on to the next thing. What we've added in this process is the center, that you always start from your core. You don't do any actions. You don't run around doing anything until you first settle into your core. We've also added the circle that aligns everything together so that you do one thing and it's leveraged to the next. So we have, I believe, improved on the PDCA cycle, the original pragmatic cycle, by having the center of purpose wherever you start, and then the integrated synergy that holds it. So ours becomes a spiral. We hope to have you spiral up instead of just circling round and round and round and round. That's our hope anyway.
That's actually my next question. Like, can you break it down? Like, what does the symbol, what does it signify?
Excellent. So this is our compass navigation system. So wherever you are and whatever change you want to make or something you want to create in your life, we have you start at your core, which is the center of the wheel. That's your purpose. Okay. So you have a compass in your hand. Wherever you stand, that's where you're starting. That's X on that marks a spot, right? And that's your purpose, why you're doing what you're doing, why you're creating this business, why you're going to school to study psychology, why you're doing that. This is your essence. This is what drives you. These are the pieces of you that create internal stability. So you typically think about stability as coming from outside us, like the money we get and the housing we have and everything. But the real stability that makes you resilient is this core part of you, this beginning part. If you got that down, you can take care of so many other problems. Okay. Any questions about that first step?
Basically, being authentic, being true to yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, for leadership, we call this authentic leadership. But you have to delve in. Before you can be true to yourself, you have to have some more awareness. What I talk about is first you have awareness, and then you can heal whatever the obstacles or problems are, and then you can actualize. So this point is really where you start to actualize. And I always consider
I love that.
actualizing is a verb. It just does not stop, right? You're constantly having to do that. The more you're aware of, the more you can do that. The bigger you can become, you can grow into your destiny. And it starts there, the very, very, very beginning, and moves inside out. That's our process, right? So
And that's the foundation. Can
That
you
is the
break, okay,
foundation.
because my podcast talks a lot about self-worth, and often it comes from your essence, how you feel, how you think
Oh,
about
it,
yourself. Break it down for us, Sharon. Like, I know this is getting deeper, and then we can go on to the next,
yeah.
that next pointers.
So the core is really what you're here to do. These are the gifts you're born with, and we know from research that your brain is encoded with certain gifts when you come out of the womb. Here you are, ready to go. Your life is happy. Research indicates your life is happy if you fulfill your purpose. So your DNA is saying, Sharon, you are not a plumber. Sharon, you are not a construction person. Sharon, you couldn't balance a checkbook to save your soul, but you can write really well, and you can, and you do these other things really well. So if I lean into my career, my life, my work, my interactions with people based on my core traits, my purpose, I'm going to be a very happy camper. If I try to do something because it seems more prestigious, if I go to, the Harvard Business School, it's really not my thing. I coach those people. I wouldn't do really well in those other environments, but I do really well over here. I don't do well over there. And that awareness makes me more successful, makes me much more happy. So I am born to do certain things, and
Mm.
I will struggle. I could get good at other things, but I will struggle with them, and they're not in my sweet spot. They don't give me juice. That's one of the things I always talk to people about. I ask them, say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much juice does this give you to take this job or to take that job, or to go on this path and create your business about this or create your business about that? And I have them rate it, and very, very quickly they can see what path they should take. So
Mm.
that comes from your core, that comes from where you will be the happiest. Okay.
Mm.
There was a study out of, I think it was USC, University of Southern California, that looked, a longitudinal study of 30 years, and now it's probably longer, that said that the things that you are good at when you are very young, so maybe up to middle school, there are things that you do that are easy for you. And those are the gifts you were born with. So you see patterns, you're a mathematician, it's really easy for you to figure that out. But you think, anybody can do that. I'm here to tell you they can't. There are things that are easy for you and that
Wow.
were easy for you early on. Those are your core gifts. If you
Mm.
build a life around those gifts, you're going to be financially successful. You're going to be happy. You're not going to go home and kick the dog, the poor dog. You are going to be
Oh.
you are going to be, I know, really, people do that. So we need you to be happy, because otherwise it's a life of frustration. So that's what they found, is that the people who follow those traits that were very early evident were successful. So an example for me is I am born to be a musician, and I always thought anybody can be a musician. It's a human trait. There's no problem with it. Everybody is a born musician. And then I started teaching piano, and I went, holy, this person is, there's a problem here. I have to rethink this whole thing. Similarly, you put me in another place, it's going to be a disaster. So if we honor those things and we really pay attention to them, our odds of success and fulfillment and happiness and being authentic just skyrocket. And it's such a nicer way to live.
I love it. So do you play an instrument? Any instruments?
I'm a concert pianist. Yeah, I grew up. I have a big grandeur and a songwriter. So these are things that are just always part of my
Wow.
life. And my writing, with people who read my books will see that I do, essentially, I try to be musical in my writing, which is all my books are like theme and variations, which is that I start with this theme. The theme is of the balancing act, the symbol that you see here. And then I bring it into the applications.
Mhm.
So even that, the theme and variations is how I write.
I love it. I love it. That's like music to my ears. God
Your
is
ears,
speaking.
right?
God is speaking to me through you today, right now.
Excellent. I gotta love it. And people have different gifts, and people have more than one gift. So they can do a phase of their life really developing one gift and then go on to say, well, I've done that. I'm kind of bored now. And now I'm going to go on to another part of my life. And you're a great example of that, right? She says, yeah, yeah.
Oh, thank you. You remembered.
I did,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. So there are things that you're talented at, you're good at, you enjoy doing, and then we get an impulse, I think, to that self-actualization impulse is now I've got to do this other piece of me.
It's like the siren is so loud right now that I cannot ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, if I go this way, away from what my heart wants to do, it's just like this obstacle is just you
Yeah.
cannot get through it.
And your example of the you're worthless theme for your for your podcast really does speak to that. Is that we are so
Yes.
told that we are worthless, or you can't do that, or you're crappy at this, or you're a failure, da 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 da. And I think that as a whole, there is a woman rising thing that's going on in the world right now. And we certainly see it in the United States, we see it around the world, where there's a piece of our human evolution where we are going to more embody the female. And the way I like to tell the story of when the hero, so we're all heroes, heroines, kind of coming out of battle. We've been embattled. Things have been tough in our lives. We've had the divorce, or we've had the school failure, or whatever the heck's going on, or we can't make the next rent. I mean, it's just scary, scary, scary stuff. And so we're like the hero that comes from battle and it's bruised and battered and bleeding. And the hero in mythology comes to a crossroads and looks at it and sits down and goes, I have no idea what to do. What the hell am I supposed to do now? And then in
Did you scan my brain before coming into the
I did.
It's like I'm trying to shield myself, but it's like you are.
You're going, oh, she saw me, right?
Yes,
This is our
you're
universe.
right on the spot.
Well, then, fortunately, in mythology, what happens is poof, a magician appears out of nowhere. And the magician holds the space for the hero and tells the hero, just cool your jets, rest, relax, heal. And the magician holds the space, the sacred space, for the hero to self-heal. That's really, really important. The magician is not healing the person. It's not really an external force. It's an internal force where the hero is healing himself or herself. Okay. And then at a certain point, the hero looks at the crossroads and knows which way to go and is ready to rock and roll, ready to go. And they know the way they need to go. But it's from that stopping, from that pausing, getting into your core, to bring it back to where we started, now. In your core now, you know what to do. You know.
Profound. I want to say that I have been in resting period, I think, for the past 3 years, just trying to trudge along. But right now, it has never been clearer of what I should be doing next. Again, this is confirmation.
Yes, yes, yes. And our societies pretty much do not allow us that space and time, rest, and go inside. And I think that that's something that as women, particularly, we can contribute to our friends, the men, which is, for the love of God, just stop this thing you're doing. Just stop it, because we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere this way, right?
Yeah. And then they're scared, or they're afraid to be seen as, not productive and not getting to certain status at certain age, certain amount of money, and it's like not allowing themselves to rest until they get to that point of burnout, or even, God forbid, heart attack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have all kinds of people who come to me in that with medical problems because they are in that past burned out stage. And we have to, then it takes more time to repair, as you know. So I'm happiest when people come to me when they're on a trajectory of, I know I've got to change and I'm going to be doing it, as opposed to now we need to patch you up for a while until you can, I don't want you walking on those feet.
Stand on your, yeah.
You're damaged. So that is, it's harder to do the repairs, as anybody knows. We need to, the sooner the better, that you can say, my instinct is to go over here. My instinct is to stop, for the love of God, for a minute, which is what the magician does to the hero. Stop. You have to stop. And then things self-correct, so that you have that homeostasis. You have that point in your body that where you right yourself. Okay. By resting in this core. So I think we said a fair piece about the core, right? I think
yes. No, before we go into the other 4 quarters, I just want to say I love how you're intertwining medical terms, divination, magician into the whole theme. Really what I am passionate about. So, okay, Sharon, sorry for cutting you off.
so
Sorry for
glad.
cutting
No,
you off.
good.
Please go ahead to.
I want to go, yeah, I want to go back to your worthless thing, because settling in your core and allowing yourself to be in the core, you have to believe you deserve that. Going back to your podcast name.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, and that's a hard sell. It's a hard situation for people who've been beat up by life. It's hard when you haven't gotten that message from your family. And actually, a huge thing that you in your podcast and your listeners can do for each other is develop the community where you reflect with each other. So develop the community where someone's looking at you and going, like I do to many of my clients. I have a client who is the general counsel of a frigging US agency, whole frigging US agency. And I had to convince her of her self-worth. And I'm going, and I cannot tell you the number of people that is true for. And to me, I'm always, as the Irish say, gobsmacked. I mean, how can this person not see who she is? How can she not? But here we are, all of us with the messaging of I'm not enough. I'm alone. I have to do this by myself. I'm an imposter. Hope they don't notice, right? So I am not worth it. Yeah, exactly. So we work double, triple time in this manic kind of way, hiding out. Whereas in community, listening to each other, telling our stories like we've been doing is a way to get that mirror so you can see yourself clearly.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Sharon. So can you share with us what is that green, blue, light blue, dark blue, and red?
Absolutely. So the images here, don't you love the color coding? I'm just,
I love that.
easy for
I
me
love it.
easy for me to remember too. So now we've got this core down and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves and we're feeling worthy. And now we're like the hero, we're ready to go take that next road and do
That's
something.
the solar plexus. I love it. The yellow.
Got it. Absolutely. So now in our methodology, and there's lots of ways to do this, but this is the way we do it, is now we move into visioning. So from who I am, what are the possibilities that I can do and be in life? Okay, so we move into the air element. So the core is your essence and soul. The air element is your mind, and
I love it.
and uplifting, because now I have a foundation and I can, and all the balloons I'm putting up there are tied to something. I'm not going to float out in space. I'm going to have a vision that reflects and sees my core 10 years from now, 5 years from now, next year, 6 months, whatever. I can now see more clearly because I'm so solid inside. So I know which road to take, like the hero. I now know which road to take. That's the air element. The fire element is this going out there, focusing. Now we focus on one thing. So if you're building a business, we have to really target what you're doing and target your efforts and prioritize things. And so many people are working in situations or living in situations where they have 5,000 equal priorities they have to do yesterday. Okay, and so everybody's overwhelmed and manic, and they're not focused. So the fire goes out, you burn out. Okay, you're doing too much, too abstractly, not tied to your core. Of course, you're going to burn out. And then you're going to blame yourself for burning out. So let's compound the problem. Okay, I'm not good enough because
Why can't I get anything right?
why can't I get anything right? Right. Because you're not doing the focus. So that's the fire element. When you're doing that, boom, you get all kinds of things done. Then in our process, what we do is now that we are clear on our mission, we know where we're going and what we're doing. Now we get other people involved. So if you look at the plan, do, check, act, cycle, this is when you reflect. You check on things, okay? And you check your emotions to see GPS. Is this feeling good? Do I still have the juice here that I was looking at? How is this feeling? Scale of 1 to 10. Does this seem to be right? How do I adjust? Back to pragmatism, right? Now we see if it's working or not working, and we see why. This is the emotions, this is relationships. These are people who join with you because they agree with your mission. So you agree with the mission of the Red Cross and you give money to it, right? You agree with the mission of some people, some group that you're thinking about joining to work. So now you have a team, a community that is compatible with your mission, your vision, and your core. And life is so good when that happens. You have your community, you have people helping you. Your greatness is a team sport, is what we say, and you rise together. Okay. And then the last element here on the wheel is the is that of the earth element or structure. So now we know what we're doing, we know where we're going, we know who's doing it. So now we know, how many people do we have? Is it a station wagon? Is it a sports car? Do we need a bus? If you're doing this stuff together, now you need to find the right structures to bring you to where you go. Most people starting businesses or things look at their structure first, and then they're always trying to jimmy it or gerrymander or something together to fit, because it doesn't fit very well. But if you do it this way, you're going to get a perfect fit. Okay. If you're looking for a job, you have your values, you have your vision, you have your mission, you see where you're going, you know if you feel good about these people, and then you say yes to a job or no to a job. Okay. So that's the earth element. Now we ground it. Like I was saying about my Midwest upbringing, how are the crops doing? Right. So we need to constantly check that. And then the last thing we look at is synergy, because if those dots that you see around that wheel are connected, you're spiraling up, not spiraling down. And this is a sense of connection with the divine, connection with the larger context, your tribe, the world, and the differences you're trying to make in the world. And we want synergy to connect all of these dots. And then things get easy. So you know if you have good synergy or not by, am I putting in all this effort and it's just not working that well? That's a low synergy. If you're doing stuff, and I have clients like this, they just kind of lift their finger and things happen. I'm going, I want more of that synergy. I mean, they've got this one down. God bless them. They've really got this one down. So the sense that you're pushing against something and it's not moving is a lack of synergy. Things aren't holding together.
And that can be applied to relationship as well, I guess.
Oh, hello. Yes, you can take it from here and you can start giving the class. Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I have a history. I think for a lot of people listening to this have a history of just, I can make this better. Yes, I can do better. And he or she will love me more if I'm just a better person and less worthless. Right.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. I'm having flashbacks right now.
Yeah, really too close to home, right?
Oh,
Those
okay.
who are out there might want to pause this at a moment and make notes to yourself and just have a little pragmatic honesty session with yourself about what's happening or not happening. Okay. Just, you can speak the truth to yourself and you don't have to speak it out loud unless it's to someone you really, really trust. So,
Yes, pragmatic. Oh my gosh, Sharon. We're gonna go to the next question.
how are we doing with the questions?
We have a few more.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, sweetheart. This is fun.
I am very, very much. Now, how do you balance head and heart coordination and keep them synchronized?
Yes, that old Descartes split, huh? So most people, particularly if you're more and more and more academically trained, will tend to overbalance in the head side. We need the head, right? We need to not run around like crazy people. But traditionally, in most of our, Western cultures, we have overbalanced in that direction. And what we want is when the head and the heart are connected, much like the points that I'm saying in the wheel, things are pretty happy. So you get to let the heart decide the things that are the purview of the heart. You get that the head decide the things that are purview of the head. And there needs to constantly be a negotiation and a dialogue going on with that. Another ways to think about the head and heart difference is if you look at the wheel, historically, what's encoded in here is a balance between male and female energies. And the male energy is that fire and earth energy you see from the south to the north. Okay, that is historically, traditionally, archetypally, the quote male energy, which is more head. Okay, more thinking, right? And then we have the energy of the air element and the water element, which is female energy. And in businesses, that's decried as touchy-feely. They don't like that touchy-feely. They're contemptuous about that, or airy-fairy. It's too abstract, okay? But if we balance that head and heart thing, and we balance it in the core, and we hold it together in the outer wheel, we have a perfect balance of male and female energy of head and heart.
And that is what we should be striving.
That is what every human being should be striving for, men and women alike. And this is yours by rights. Jung talked about the anima and the animus a long time ago, and that the healthiest people were those that were balanced, as I talk about, and we're talking about the superpower balance, is really making sure all of these pieces have their say at the right time, right place.
And it may take you a lifetime to master this.
Yeah, I think that's why it's encoded in archetypes. I mean, people have been trying to do this for a very long time.
Yeah.
And what I have tried to do in my work is make it simpler, easier to get for people. So if you're using this methodology on a team, everybody who's on the team, they don't have to be the leader. They don't have to be someone who's been to business school. They can do this with you. Organizations, they can do this with you personally. You and your family, you can do this together. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Okay.
A spontaneous therapy session for everybody, for every one of us.
Yes,
Yes.
mini therapy one. I love it. And
Yeah.
coaching as well.
Yeah, and this is such an easier way to do that. I think, in terms of
It
self-management,
is.
in terms of doing this for yourself and your family, doing this for your teams. Here's an easy pathway towards evolution.
I'm gonna let that sink. Easier pathway to evolution. That's huge. That's deep.
Yeah, this is a spiraling up model. And
This
you,
is
like the hero, can
act
pause
of ascending as well.
an ascending. Yeah, it's just a naturally organic ascending model. And by taking these things and going back and forth, you do a change over here, then you go over there.
Iterations and then
Yep. Yeah, and you just go with it. And this is what the ancients have given us. Here is, no matter what culture you're in, you will find this as a healing modality model. If you're in Africa, if you're in Asia, if you're in the old US, I mean, all over the world, the Mayans built their temples based on this model. In terms of not with measurements like cubic feet or something like that. They did it in relationship, in the relational construction. So we know that this is related to this in its measurements.
I feel God is speaking through you today. I
Wow.
love
Thank
it.
you. Thank you to you, and thank you to God, and let it be so, right?
Yes. And so it is. So, Sharon, what work are you most proud of today?
I think that I am at a moment in my own transition where I am creating a community that will be an international community to bring this effort to the world. I think that I'm at that, hey, crossroads.
Crossroads?
I'm at
Do
the
you need
crossroads.
help?
Yeah, we're all kinds.
Come, take shelter.
Yes, we're all kinds of people embracing this and making it their own. So I have someone who works with me who's from Pakistan, and someone who works for me, and people from Brazil, and I have people all over the US who are making this their own according to the discipline that they work in. And they're going to be the torchbearers. They're going to be the ones who are ready to take this out and make it their own, right? And I'm just, my role is to feed them and get them prepared and give them permission to adapt this to their different cultures.
How impactful.
So say, light a candle for me. Everyone who's out there, light a candle for me. This is good work.
I will. I will be. In fact, I light a candle every night. So
Oh,
tonight
good. Yeah,
will be
tonight
for you.
soon. Yeah, this is stuff that as soon as we get this in the next phase of getting this out to the businesses, our next phase is going in for the kids. We have done this work for children, for youth, and they adapt to it very quickly. I don't have to retrain them, so it's faster work to teach the youth that this is who you are. You are this potentially great human being who has a soul and a mind and this heart, and you have these emotions and this wonderful body, and go, kid, go. We want them to really lean into who they are, the gifts they bring in the world. And can you imagine?
Yes, I cannot wait for those kids.
Yeah. And we know that they take to it like this. They just take to it like this. They can speak to where they're strong and where they're weak. Can you believe that? They can just speak to it as soon as they understand the concept, and then they can change. So one story that I love is from a Montessori kid. We had this wonderful Montessori class, and and this little boy said, "I love fire. Fire's the best, and I love to run and jump, and it's so much fun." But then sometimes, people get nervous, not nervous. He said, sometimes people don't like it. And so maybe I should do a little more water sometimes.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's me.
That's an airbender right there. Whoa. The fact that he could use that concept immediately
changes behavior.
Wow.
I know. So I'm looking at him and I'm going, oh,
This is our next generation, and I'm all
This is our next generation to realize that about yourself, because so many kids talk about worthless. So I've been in the urban center a fair amount, and we've taken this class to, this program to high school and junior high kids, in addition to the 8-year-old, who teach them all, by the way, about how to do this. We need to bring them to the next CEO conference, so he can show them how this works. But kids who have really been beat up by society can
it's gonna
take
take a little bit more work for those kids. But then those that are fresh, I'd say,
so these kids who have been sufficiently beat up and are marginalized, to teach them that this is who they really are will equip them better to go out in the world, whether or not it's hostile. Screw that. It's hostile. You can work around the hostile world. You've worked around the hostile world. I've worked around the hostile work. We've worked in front, inside it, and we're changing it. So for the kids themselves to have a better sense of who they are and then what they can do in the world is a gift that will pay off for generations. So this is where we're going next.
Woo!
And you and I are going to continue to talk, sweetheart, about this. I now have a friend. I now have a friend in Malaysia, right? I now have a friend.
Yes. And next thing is dominating Asia, changing Asia. Yeah.
Absolutely. And to have this tool, it's like a recognition, re-knowing is what recognition. I know myself now again. I now know who I am again.
Remembering.
I remember. Yeah. And I have this tool to keep myself on track, a compass that I can keep navigating, bringing out my real self, my authentic self, my core self into the world. And nothing's going to stop that. I'm not going to let anything stop it. My soul is at stake. My heart is at stake. My life is at stake. I once had a young man, we were playing an I am experiment. So we were talking about who they are. It's identities. And he said, I am fat, and laughing in the classroom. And I said, have you always been fat? You can change being fat? Yep. Okay. Ergo, you are not fat. That is not your identity. Silence in the room.
Crickets.
There's crickets. Yeah. This is not who you are. So let's try this again. I am, and then . So if we can have youth, children, women, men around the world have a different sense of the I am, then we have solved a lot of the worthless problem.
And I saw this very great, wonderful, like eye-opening meme the other day. You just reminded me, a reel. It says, that person says, I'm fat. But then the other person said, are you sure you're fat? What's this? Fingernail. Can you say I am fingernail? Are you a fingernail? No. So why are you saying you're fat? You have fingernails. You have fat. You're not fat.
Yeah, the I am.
Yes.
That's back to the core. What is the I am? Isn't that fun? But we have so many external definitions of who we are that we have to push back on them. We have to have that definition, self-definition, come from you, the gifts you were born with, what your destiny is. I heard recently a redefinition of destiny as being waiting for what the stars will bring. So if we are literally stardust, then your destiny in some ways is to reconnect with that. How do you reconnect with the stars?
To your true north.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that beautiful?
Divine. Oh my gosh, Sharon. Oh my God. It's already 45 minutes. Okay. Few more questions. And then this is definitely not going to be the last time I'm going to be speaking. I might have you on for my speaking event and my season 2. So, but first, I have a question for all of my guests because my podcast talks a lot about self-worth. So the question of self-worth for you is, seeking external help, such as therapy or counseling, can be beneficial for addressing self-worth issues. In your opinion, how can individuals find the right resources and support for their needs?
I suggest people sit quietly, meditate, get that internal compass going. And when you have that, if you want to seek psychological help or external help, your compass is going to be stronger. You're going to know what methodology and what people resonate with you. So resonance is a key issue in getting help, that you find the right people. Okay.
I think we hit all the points in resonance and all the notes that I was taking in our interview. Resonance. How am I going to connect this? And there you go. You connected it. So my job is done. Okay. So, Sharon, what is your heart's greatest wish?
What is my heart's greatest wish? To reduce human suffering in any way I can contribute to that, to help people become aware of themselves and their potential. I want to provide them with tools to heal themselves so they can actualize, so they can become a gift not only to themselves, but their families and the world and future generations, because they're evolving up.
Beautiful. If you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening, and the world is your legacy, what would it be?
You have inside you an internal compass that can navigate you to greatness. Use it.
How can people reach out to you, Sharon?
Yes, that'd be wonderful. They can go to my website, which is corecoachingconsulting.com. And we have monthly, and they can check out our services. We have writing there that they can use. We have all kinds of tools that we will refer them to. So we have all kinds of free tools. And we also have a free monthly event that people can join and get samples of the work. They get experiences of what we're doing. So that every month we have a special event that's free to the public, and it's so much fun. So they can get that information on the community page in our website. Yeah, so that's it.
Be sure to include those
People
links.
People can also contact me through LinkedIn.
Perfect.
And remember, it's Sivert as opposed to Sivert.
For our listeners, why we're cracking up is because I was asking Sharon how to pronounce her name. So according to her, quote, Sivert is the German pronunciation and Sivert is the French pronunciation. So. And there you have it, guys. You heard it from the person herself, Sharon. Sivert / Before we close up, Sharon, I'd like to thank you personally for the work that you're doing for the world and for advancing every step of the way, despite the challenges, creating trails for those that will come after you. And for our listeners, this has been that one podcast with that controversial name, You're Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you find yourself thinking that you are worthless, you're probably not alone. But more importantly, ask yourself a level deeper. If I'm worthless, then why the heck am I here? It is because your soul have chosen to be here energetically all the way from the ethers. And for that reason itself, you are worthy and you are enough. This has been Sharon Sivert, your guest of the day, and Nierras, your host, signing off. Thank you so much, Sharon,
sister and sisters out there. Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been wonderful. And cut.
Pause. Hey, pause. Time out. Well, that was fun. We did okay.
Yes, we did wonderful. I enjoyed myself very much. It was very natural, and this is what I love doing. I love connecting, I love learning, and I love just and the notion of you building a community, it's something that I feel called to, like it's like a soul tribe. So this is definitely not going to be the last time we're going to be speaking.
Yeah, I think, What have I sent you so far? Did I send you a PDF of the most recent book? I think I did, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I've read only a few pages. So I haven't read the whole book. But how can we be of help, Sharon?
Well, I think we should stay in touch, because I now have a friend in Malaysia, and we are trying to take this stuff to every part of the world. And maybe this is something that we are training coaches now. So we are training people to coach in the system. So is that you on board? That's you on board. Okay, I'm going to talk with you more about that. I just think we have another conversation about how you can hop on board with that. You're a psychologist already. You're excited about this material. Let's see if and we're certifying people to do this. So we're having our first group go through now. You'd like to do that, huh? I think you'd be perfect. Yeah. So we're training people to be in the core coaching consulting stable of coaches. And I think there's all kinds of things, like people themselves are designing different programs and applications of this. So, and we're developing AI guidebooks to make it easier for our coaches to roll the stuff out according to certain issues. So we are at a point where we are really ready for prime time. We're really getting ready for prime time.
This is opportunity. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So what do I need to do?
Let's just, why don't you, write up this kind of thing, and I'm going to show you what we're doing with the coaches, and I'm going to see where you think it might be a good match for you. You might be able to do this, like doing, if you, for example, ran a group, of women who wanted to change their lives, we can have a program that you can follow, and we have assessments like a personal, and strength scale. The first thing I'm going to do is, you're going to finish this thing. I'm going to send you one of our profiles, like a career strength scale or a personal profile. What would you like to do? Any
Yeah.
one of those?
Now you're the lead. I mean,
What?
I'm coming in. You're the lead. I'm coming in as the fool. So I'm just following, like, as in, like, yeah, what is it that you need my help, and that how I can better position myself according to my strength and
Yeah.
align to my purpose.
Yeah, I think that it would be just wonderful. For example, different people have different strengths in the group. So we have Doug, for example, who is definitely going to be working with business leaders and organizations. He came out of Dow Chemical, for the God's sake. So he is, I mean, really, not my, and so we have Alka, who is in Holland and has been doing this for years. We have Chevy, who is in Spain. We have Randy, who works with entrepreneurs in Washington, DC. We have Bonnie, who's kind of like a lieutenant to me, and we're going to work on a career program. We're working on a career program together. She's already been consulting with people. We have just a bunch of other folks. So different people have very different gifts, and for you, and interests in how you would like to bring this into the world. So, at some point and we have teachers we've trained in the past. So we're just starting to get sort of a sense about how we do this, how economically we do this. We have profiles that people can take, and that's what the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm just going to give you an experience of the profile. And then
That's a great
then you
first
have a
step.
sense
Yeah.
about it, because then you can think, if I had a group of women if I did an I'm worthless women's group, what would it look like? And if you follow our steps, you can then have a program that gets them to another result.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a person who's a career counselor at a university, and she's going to be doing this with actually specializing with people from China and India in terms of their difficulty in assimilating the United States job market. And she's going to do a program based on this for them, so they don't lose their identity, so they don't lose themselves in the mix of coming into the US market. So people have very, very, very different gifts and interests, but you can see this is a tool that if people master it, they can really change their lives.
Yes.
First off, I'm going to send you either the CSS or the simple strengths scale, which is that you just move things around, and you get a report right away, and we can discuss the report, and you can get a sense about, you just put that into your thinking cap. You're already doing a podcast. So moving into doing a group based on, as one of our coaches, will give you certainly some, credentialing. It's very interesting, because people around the world, I'm told by my European colleagues and South American colleagues, that they believe that Americans have their act together on coaching, that we're far advanced.
Yeah. And that,
Yeah. But people believe that. I'm not saying that. I don't
right, exactly.
that we do.
And this is why I'm getting my ass to the US and visiting it for the first time next month to learn. Like, I mean, to see people, to make the connection, to build the connection, see face to face, building trust. So I think it's perfect timing that we're here talking about this right now.
Yeah. So we are putting together a little club of really great people. And so I have my people who are in there, the Balanced Leaders group, and they're just amazing. These are the stars I talk about. They have their own careers, and then we're developing the coaches. So we have 2 streams of training coming up.
Yeah. Count me in.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm going to send you this, and then you let me know when the video audio is ready, and we will promote it on our site and in my link.
Definitely. I'm a bit behind on the producing of my episode, but it should be up and running, I think, hopefully by next month, if not after I'm back from the US.
Okay,
so
we're staying in touch, and I know where you are, where I am. Okay, great. Yay.
Yes.
Okay, you have a good one. Have a
You
wonderful
too.
night. Okay.
You too, Sharon. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.